Hey, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing an install and review of this new streaming rear view mirror. I got it from Tlyard, and I am super excited about it. So I have a mirror in there now. In fact, on the install, I'll kind of show you before and after. I have a much smaller mirror that has a front camera and back camera, but this one is completely different. So I'm excited. It's a much bigger mirror. I'll get into it real quick so you can kind of see what it is. The mirror is huge. It has a ton of coverage. So you can see that. The install is supposed to be a lot easier as well. Like I said, we'll go through that install here in just a few minutes and you can see what that looks like. But this has a lot of really cool features. I'll explain to you later what all those different features are. The mounting of the rear camera actually goes on top of the Cybertruck instead of in the rear. My rear camera I have on my other one, I'm constantly, because it sits so low, I'm constantly hitting it. It's getting dirty. It's always getting covered with stuff. So this one actually sits up top and gives you a much better view of what's behind you and actually, the top of your bed cover there. So it gives you all the tools. If you've watched any of my other videos, you'll see I will end up more than likely using my own tools, but if you don't have the proper tools, it does give you everything that you're going to need. There's a couple wiring harness in here. Again, we've got the mirror here. So this item here, this is going to be your rear camera, and this is going to sit on the back. It has the 3M tape there. That's going to hold it. But that is going to be a wired camera. Here's going to be the cord for that camera. This looks like just one of the power cords there. And then it also has this camera here. One thing that I thought was really cool on this camera is this is your front camera, but it also gives you that option to twist it if you want inside. So like, for example, if you're an Uber driver or anything else, and you do have that front camera recording, you can easily, if you get people into your vehicle, do that. Now we have a camera already in the Cybertruck that's always recording inside, but I do like that it kind of gives you that flexibility of using it how you want. So again, this is a really easy install, it appears, but we'll get into that later. So other than that, it gives you, again, everything that you're going to need. Here's some electrical tape, some wipe downs and that sort of stuff for when you're going to apply the sticker. But that's it. That's everything that comes inside. And again, I'll meet you out at the car here in just a few minutes. Again, thank you to Tlyard for sending me the item. I am really excited about getting this in. I don't use my other one a ton just because of the usability isn't really all that great, and with the cameras that are on there. But this being a streaming video, I'm excited about having it on there and showing you all the different options on it. So I'll see you out at the car in just a second. All right, we're out at the vehicle and I'll show you this install. So what I've already done so far, if you want to come check it out, is I have already taken all the pieces out of the box. I kind of laid them out just so I knew where everything is. Obviously, here's the mirror. I'll let you kind of get in there and take a look at all the pieces, but I've laid everything out that came in the box just so I have easy access to everything. I've kind of already mapped out what I need to do. Ultimately, what I'm going to end up having to do is I'm going to take out this old mirror that I have that's in there. Again, that's not the stock one, so your install may look different. If you don't already have a mirror in there and the stock one is in, then it's even easier than that. You're just going to do one screw. I'm going to show you because they come out the same. Once I undo that piece there, I'm going to take down the top. I'm going to work my way into this side here. And then also I'm going to take the other side off, and then we'll kind of go further from there. But it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, you got to kind of feel comfortable working around your vehicle because you are going to have to take some panels off and that sort of stuff, but it should be pretty easy going. So I'll see you in just 1 second for the first step. Okay, first step is taking out the mirror. Again, I have an aftermarket mirror in here already, but yours is going to come out the same way if it's stock. You can use your tool. I'm actually going to, in this case, it's just the small star, and you're going to find the little bolt here, and we're going to unscrew that. Trying to stay out of the way of the camera, but it's hard for me to see up in there at the same time. Let me try it this way. Okay, there we go. Again, we're just going to undo the bolt that's in there. You're going to want to keep this screw when it comes out because you're going to use it to install the next one. Again, I may go get my own tool here. The one that they give you is just real short. And again, because I have an aftermarket piece in here, it makes it a little bit more difficult with all the wires and that sort of stuff with this short little one. But let me see, it looks like I almost got it. So all right, looks like I found a good angle, and that's it. It comes right out, and that's it. Like I said, you won't have these wires. You may have a wire in the factory one, I forget now, but you could have none either. There's also a little plastic tab on here if you're using the factory one that you're gonna have to remove. Obviously, I don't have the factory one, so mine's gone. So that's the first step. I'll come back and show you the second one in just a second. Okay, next part is we're gonna open up both of these so we can access where we need to be. The best thing to do is to take your little sun visors, move them out of the way so everything's open in here. This thing is gonna open up like this. That comes down here and comes out of the way. And then again, same thing here. These things just pry open. Now again, yours may look a little bit different than mine because again, I have an aftermarket mirror in here already. And on here, you just really want to take your time when you're doing this stuff. Obviously, you don't want to break anything that's in here. So just take your time and slowly work with it until it unsnaps. Let me see here. I think I want to get this one a little bit more here. There we go. And you just find the angle that's going to work best for you there, and that just all unsnaps just like that. So again, yours is going to look different because this is a totally different install. But what I'm going to do on mine, I'm going to have to undo all these wires, and then we'll come back, and then we should be pretty much at a clean slate of what yours would look like stock, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here we are. This is what it's going to look like factory. You can see in here that I've got it all back to normal. This is what yours is going to look like if you don't have anything on there. Same thing with this. There's just the one holding it there. And all we're going to do is ultimately this camera here is going to be stuck on the windshield, probably about here. And so we want to run our cords through here. We've got our mirror here. Now this cord has really 3 ends. This one here is going to go to the camera. So we're going to take that and it's going to run out the front. This one here is for power, and this one here is for the rear camera. And both of these are actually going to go up this way. So ultimately just this one cord we need to make sure goes out through the front. I'll show you how that's going to work. So once we put these through, once we kind of get those through and where we need, ultimately we know that it's going to be kind of hard to do back here so you can see it, but we know that this one is going to go up towards the front, but these other ones need to go towards the rear. So I'm just going to make sure that they're kind of under this cord here. Same thing with this. I'm going to make sure it's kind of tucked back towards the back here. Because I'm gonna want to go through that notch. So I'm just going to make sure both of those are that way, so they know where they need to, or I know where they need to go. And then again, this one here is going to be coming out towards the front. Now we want to stay away from this. Try to stay as far away from that as you can. Ultimately, what's going to happen is we're going to push the mirror all the way through. So let's just go ahead and do that now. So this is going to come all the way up through there. And ultimately that's how it's going to be. This is such a cleaner look than the other one that I did. I'm really excited about that. I actually have it on backwards, I believe, because this has to go that way. But I'll show you this in just a second. Let me make sure that I'm not twisting anything up here. We want these to come as far as we can this way. Same thing with that. And ultimately, this is going to come through here, and this is going to snap back on. So I want to make sure that I don't have something twisted up. So I'll be back in 1 second. I'm just going to make sure I don't have anything twisted back up, and I'll show you how to install the rest of this. Okay, I wanted to show you this. I did have it twisted around, and it was making it really difficult. I had over twisted it this way. So you just got to make sure that it's not twisted and everything's loose in there. So again, you're going to want to have these two coming out here. You're going to want to have this front camera hanging out the front. And then ultimately, you're just going to kind of guide it back on there. If you have a helper, great, to hold this mirror. If not, you can just kind of tuck it where you can. But ultimately, this is going to have to snap back on where it goes. And that's it. Now, I'm not going to do this one all the way because I do want to tuck this cord in there. But this is ultimately where it's going to end up going. And I just want to make sure that I have the cords that I need right here that I can get through. So that's ultimately what's going to happen. I'm going to take the screw and we're going to screw this up. After we push these things through. Oops, I lost the one over here. So we're going to grab that one, pull it back through, and then I'm going to screw this up and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've screwed this in already, but ultimately, like I was showing you before, you're going to want to make sure that this cord is hanging out of the front. This is we're going to mount this camera here, and it's going to plug in there. And then you want the other two cords coming out the back of this. And then ultimately what happens is that original screw goes right up through here if you want to look. And then you're going to screw it back in. I actually came to the passenger side. I found it easier because I'm right-handed, and screwed that screw back in there. And then you're going to want to put on this little cover that they provide, which is right here. And that will give it that nice clean look. So much nicer than the last mirror I had on there. Look at how clean that is. No wires hanging down. Everything fits perfectly. I really like the way that turns on, or turned out. That looks really, really good. So the next step is going to be to add the cords here. So ultimately, you're going to have two cords here. One of them is going to be for power, I believe. Oh, actually, this is going to be for your rear camera. So this one is going to come up into here, up into your headliner, which I'm going to show you how to get into that. And it's going to go this way. And then this other one is going to come through here. And this is going to be your power. It's going to, again, go into your headliner, and it's going to head this way. And then we're going to get down into the other side of the vehicle. So we'll start with this one. Actually, what I'll do is I'll plug this in, and we'll get into here in just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab your the long wire. This is going to go to the rear camera. And ultimately, you'll see like there's this little sleeve right here. You're going to take the cap off, the little red cap. You're going to want to take that off. And you're going to want to take this here, and you're going to want to plug those together. They just push straight in. You'll hear them snap. Ultimately, I'm not going to do this, but ultimately what that little sleeve is there to do is that's a heat sleeve. If you took a heat gun on here, it would shrink that and hold it totally solid. I'm not going to. This is going to be inside the headliner here. It's not going to go anywhere. So ultimately, again, we're going to want to come run up this channel, and we're going to ultimately be into this headliner. So a couple different ways you can do that. You can grab the other end, push it around the headliner. We're going to pull this headliner down a little bit this way anyway. And if I was to just kind of run it through there, I should be able to grab it, and then I'm going to feed the rest of it through. I'll show you here in just a second. I'll get it started. Just trying to reach my finger here. I got a Band-Aid on my finger, on my other finger, and I can't really feel it. So when it's hitting my finger. Again, ultimately, all we're doing is just right through the headliner here. Might have to grab in through this way. We're gonna grab that and I'm gonna pull it all the way through here and I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, so now that we got this run, all I did was I ran it right to here. Again, we're gonna work our way in the headliner and I'm gonna show you when we continue all the way this way for, again, the rear camera. But for now, we're just gonna leave it right here. We're gonna do the same thing with this cord. So here's our power cord. And this is gonna run the opposite way. So we're gonna go ahead and plug this in. Now that is a very specific, it can go in. When I plugged it in, I kind of twisted it until I felt that it could just go in and then it snapped in. Nice and easy. But again, we're gonna do the same thing here. We'll take one cord off one channel and one up the other channel here and get that going. And then we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna run this cord up into the headliner, which ultimately we can snap this headliner down just by giving it a little bit of a pull. And then we can do the same thing. We'll just pull this headliner down, tuck that in there, and that's it. It's up there. It's up there as far as we need for now, and then I'll show you how to work it around the rest of the headliner. And then ultimately what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this piece and we're gonna put this back into place. So that's gonna go up into, it slides back into there. And then you just gotta kind of find the right angle that it wants to be at. And once you do, it'll pop right back into place. Okay, so we've got this all back in. It took me a little while. You got to figure out where those wires go in that channel for it to go up. But once you figure out when you get them out of the way, this thing snaps up really easy. So now, again, we've got the two wires coming up that way. We've got the power one going towards the power, and we got the other one going the other way. And again, we're going to go through this headliner. We're going to access up in here, and then we're going to come down this way, and we're going to get down into this section here. So ultimately, the easiest way to do that is to go ahead and take off the little rubber seal here, because that's going to give us access to underneath here. So again, I have my old wire in here, but ultimately what we're going to do is we need to be able to access underneath this piece here and into this headliner. So we're going to just go ahead and pop this headliner down just like this. We're going to take this cord, we're going to go up around it, and ultimately what we're going to want to do is get up underneath here. So what we're going to do is work our way around. Trying to see the easiest way to get in here. I did this with my last one and it was fairly easy. I just don't remember exactly what I had to do. Okay, so we're just pulling these clips down. Again, we're trying to give ourselves more access under here. And here it is. Here's the access that we're looking for, is right here. So you can feel it with your hands once you get into there. There's a hole on the back side of this that I'm just going to be pushing through. And then what I'll do is I'll have the camera come around this other side in just a second. In fact, I'm going to have the camera go off and come back on, meet you on this other side, and you can see me pulling it through. Okay, so here you are on the other side. Again, you saw me working it away through the other side. So, you know, underneath the headliner here, pushing it through. We're going to come out here, and there's a pretty big piece here. So we're going to go ahead and work that through first. Ultimately, there's a pretty large gap there that you've got to work your way through. So I've got that through there. and we're going to pull this through. Now this other wire here is for my last install. I'm going to go ahead and end up taking all this out. In fact, I'll just go ahead and, well, we're not going to mess with that right now, but that is from the last install. But what we're going to do is we're going to continue to pull all this through. And that is it. And that's literally it for inside. So we're going to be able to go ahead and snap this headliner back into place. So you'll just find the spots where it goes back into place. It's all back in and we're already through. It's literally that easy. And then ultimately this wire here is going to come down this side. And then we're going to come in over here. So you're going to want to, at this point, use your pry tool. And we're going to open up this piece. This thing pops open like that. And these things come off just like that. Super, super easy. You see how all these come off? And then this gives us access under here. And this literally will allow us just to take the whole thing down. So I'm going to stop the video for a second and then I'll show you back in here where we need to go from here. Okay, so as I've showed you before, you're going to pull this back. Ultimately, that's going to allow you to pull this back, and this is where we want to be. Now, again, yours may look different. I have a lot of accessories on my truck, so this is a ton of different wires. They all run kind of parallel with each other, but this ultimately is where you want to go. Normally, you're going to see this blue cable right here. See this blue end? And that's going to be in here. So that normally is in there. You're going to undo that and you're going to put this in between. And I'll show you how to do that. Actually, I'll just do it on this one because again, it doesn't matter on mine where I go in line. I just need to be in line with it. Trying to get some light here too so that you can see. But ultimately, okay, see if I can find a good spot for that light. I forgot how these things come out. I think it's just this little tape. I want to say that it's just this little tab right here. Let's see here. Oh, there it is. I pushed on that tab there and it came out. So that's ultimately what we're looking for is this tab here. And what you're going to see is you've got this pigtail, and this pigtail is going to just go in there. So again, on yours, you would have taken this blue part from here. You would have taken this new piece here and put it up into there, and then this blue piece would have gone into here. Because mine is a little bit different, I'm just going to be adding it into the circuit that I already have, which is right here, which just puts it in line with all of these other pigtails. But again, yours is just going to go from up here into here. And that's it. That's how easy that is. And then we've got two other plugs that we're going to do here next, and I'll come back for those. And then there should be this other cord where the one that came down through the top, we're going to fish this down through here, and it's going to come in here, and this is going to plug in here. So again, the wiring part is just all plug and play, super, super easy and super easy to do. So I'll go ahead and finish plugging this in here and putting these back, and I'll be right back. Okay, so ultimately, again, for this other pigtail that we have, I already have a pigtail in here for some different accessories, but normally this plug here is going to be in here. And you're going to undo it, and you're going to add a pigtail like what's in here. So again, in this case, I'm going to add another pigtail in here. So I'm going to go in here, which again, normally in this install, this would be going into here and this would be going into here, but I already have another accessory. So I'm just adding another loop to it. And then this is going to go here. So ultimately, again, yours may look a little bit different than mine. because I do have a lot of accessories, but that's where it's located. And then ultimately, you know, again, we're just going to put everything kind of back together again. So this ultimately is going to push in here. Take your time as you're putting everything back together. Oops, this thing kind of has to work its way behind here. I have so many accessories on this car that I can't believe I can even get this thing back together anymore with as much stuff as packed behind there as possible. But there's only one way it can go in. You'll figure it out when it goes in. Like this has to align with this little snap-in piece, and then you'll see everything just snaps right back into place. And it does all go together nicely if I can just get that piece back in. For some reason I'm missing it, but oh, here we go. I had a wire in the way. That's the problem with having so many accessories on this thing, is I've got wires everywhere. And that's it. So it goes back together nicely. And then once that's done, then you're going to want to go, you can use either your fingers or you can use these tools as well, and to get everything back, to get this all back behind this rubber seal. But as far as the wire install itself and the wiring of it, literally all I have left is that camera to do, and it's pretty much the same thing that I did now. I'm going to run it down the other side and hook it up. So I'll see you back in 1 second, and I'll show you how to put that rear camera on. Okay, so as you can see, I've redone all this here. I just pulled it all up. I went by with hand and just went and put all that back on. The last piece is to put this piece back on. Again, it's super easy. That's it. And you can see everything's back where it needs to go. I've already kind of put this back on. I'll probably go around and just make sure that all the rubber is where it needs to be. I can't really tell from my side if the rubber is where it needs to be. But that's it. It's all up in the headliner. The headliner's all back up. Super clean install. You can't see where it is. And we're going to do the other thing on the other side. You can see the camera's making some noise. It's kicked on. It's trying to do its things. I don't have any cameras hooked up to it right now, so it's probably wondering where those are. But we'll be putting those on in just a second. So I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to be installing the rear camera. So we've already run this kind of in the headliner. It's still hanging down. I'll show you here in just a second what we're going to do to run this. But I wanted to show you outside the vehicle real quick what we're going to end up doing. So we're going to have to take this out here, because we're going to want to be able to access under here, and it's going to be the same thing. I haven't figured out exactly how I want to run it. The other one I took out here and I ran up underneath here, but I'll show you that here in a few. But I just wanted to kind of give you an idea. We're going to be coming up through here, getting that cord. We're going to have to run it to the back. In the directions, it has us taking this out. I'm going to try to figure out an easier way to maybe stay up in the rail. The rail is going to have to come out. If you look up top here, there's a little plastic rail, and they come out really easy. So all you got to do, get under there, get a little bit of angle there, and they come out just like that. And then they'll just continue to come out all the way out. I'll show you here. Again, just take your time, just so that you don't want to break them. They don't take a lot of force. Work that all the way down. One more. Okay. So we're going to take this off so we can access under here. Again, I don't know exactly where I want to come through with the cord, but ultimately that cord's going to come up through here and it's going to come down through here. So this piece here, I've already taken off. I'm going to go back and show you how to take this off. I was very unclear of how to do it from the directions are in there, but I did figure it out to be able to remove this piece, because ultimately that cord needs to come down this rail, and then the camera is going to go right over there. So with the little tips and tricks I'll show you on this, it actually will be easy, but it did take me a little while to figure out how this piece came off. But it's off. And like I said, 2 bolts, a little bit of leverage, it comes right off. So when I get back here in a second, I'll show you how we're going to feed it into the headliner and start working its way back. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side, and that is going to be popping this down. It just has some snaps. You just got to be real careful that you don't break anything. Just pulling these snaps down, and that's going to give us some access up into here. I can see that I popped off one of the little white snaps that holds it back in. I'll have to grab another one of those. But anyway, I'm going to run this cord through. And again, I want to be able to access up into here. Trying to figure out the easiest way to access in here, which is going to be right through here. And it'll come right through. So I'm going to take the end of this cord and I'm going to run it through. And then on this other side, I'm going to wait for it to feed through. And I'll show you a different camera angle here in a second once I get it. Okay. So I have got it all the way through now. And so now I'm just going to pull it through. You can see it through the other side. Like I said, I'll show you a different camera angle here in a second. Oh, I got a little knot in here. I'm going to have to run this back through. So I'll be back in 1 second. From this angle, you can see me pull it all the way through, and we'll be going the other direction down towards where the camera's going to be located. Okay, so where I'm going to go is there's this little piece here that I'm going to pull down. So I've come through here, as I showed you before. I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to just kind of tuck it back behind here and feed it around. So once I feed that around there, I should be able to come to the other side here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull back on this side of it. Okay, see? It's right here, just grabbed it, and now I'm just going to continue to pull it all the way through. And I'll just feed it from one side to the other. Okay, and that's it. That's it for here. Now we've got it into the back compartment. Again, I'm just going to go back to where I was and put everything kind of back in place. The quicker you do this, the better, because this just so that the memory of how it came out is all still here. Just snapping everything back in place. So you can see if you look in here, everything's just like it was factory. Everything snapped back into place nicely. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. This little headliner, we're going to just snap back into place there. So again, that's all back to where it needs to be. And we've got this here that we're going to be running. So everything's back. So now I'm going to have to determine how I want to come out of here and get up into this rail system. So I'm going to figure that out real quick and then show you the quickest, easiest way. I'll be right back. Okay, here's the next stage. So last time I was here, you saw it was coming out through here. I ran it here. All I did really from the last video was I just pushed this up and it switches over. So I've also pulled this out. The easiest way to pull this out is if you start kind of towards the bottom and you can just work it out. Ultimately, what I want to do is I wanted to get underneath it so I could get the cord through here. Once the cord is all the way through here, then I'm going to work it all the way up to the top. So that's what I did, is I worked it all the way to the top up here. And then ultimately I'm going to tuck it up under here. And if you look under here, hopefully in the camera you can see up here, you can see the daylight. And that's where I'm going to make my way through to get to the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and I'm going to push it through here. And now we've made it to the exterior where we want to be of the vehicle. So here we are. This is gonna, again, we're gonna continue. I'll show you on the next set here how we're gonna get underneath here and make our way to where the camera finally sits. But this is where we want it to end up being. And this is not exactly how the directions say to do it, but this is by far the easiest way to do it. It was very, very simple for me to do it. So now you can see, you can't see the wire. I've tucked it up under there. You can't see the wire anywhere else. It's all hidden. And then now I'm going to put this thing back. And that's it. So now if you look at this, you would not be able to tell that the wire was there, or that we've ever taken this off. Just getting this thing lip to go over there. And that's it. It's all hidden, works out perfect. You can't see it anywhere. This won't compromise the seal at all. Everything's underneath and we're where we need to be. So I'll be back in just 1 second and I'll show you the final part of the camera install. Okay, here we are for the final part of it. I'm gonna show you some little tips and tricks. So they provide a tool that will get these little star bolts out. There's gonna be one on each side, just like the directions say. But they are extremely difficult to get out. So I ended up just using a drill and they came out super easy. So I would really highly recommend a drill for this part of it. Again, I've already taken these out, but let me show you where they are if you want to come up under here. So these screws are just sitting right in there. And so when we're done, we're going to screw those back in, but these just come out. There's one on this side and then there's going to be one on the other side. So once you get those out, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to use a little bit of force because these are snapped into place. And ultimately this piece is going to come up, okay? And you're going to have to do the same thing on this side. And that's it. Once that back piece is kind of out, then this whole piece will come out. So ultimately what we're going to want to do is we're going to run this cord behind here. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of set it down. Oops. Down there now. This isn't how we're going to do the final. The way that we're going to final do it is once we put this camera in, then we're going to run this cord down. We're going to connect these two pieces. And then we're going to actually, I'm going to pull all the slack out of it. I'm going to bring the slack over here and I can take this back and run it back into the, leave the slack inside the headroom. But I'll show you that here in a second. So ultimately, once these are done, you can put this piece back in. Now I will tell you that this is what you're going to want to do. Grab a tape measure. You want to make sure your camera is dead center. You can see that this is about 64 inches. Yep, just a little bit over 64. So I'm going to go 32, just a little tiny bit over 32 here. Let's go to the end here. Yep, 64 inches. 32, and I'm just going to mark with my nail where 32 is. And that's going to be dead center. So I'm going to go ahead and install the camera. I'm going to use the adhesion promoter that they give us. You're going to want to make sure that this is nice and clean. And we're going to go ahead and use this here. And we're going to clean all in that area. And that's it. Once we're down there, done there, we'll let that dry for a second. And then we're going to take off the adhesive here. And we're going to want to make sure that you have the cord coming out of the back. And I'm not going to go all the way to the end. I'm just going to go to right here. So it'll give that little spot where the cord needs to be. You're going to want to make sure that it is level. So I can see it's perfectly level. And then I'm just going to press and hold that. So ultimately that's where the camera is going to sit. If you want, you could run it up even further. You can do a lot of different things. Just make sure you leave yourself some slack there. And that's going to be it. So once this is done, ultimately I'm going to be just putting back this piece, but I want to kind of figure out where my slack is going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, I'm going to plug it in. This I've already taken a little red tab off, but there's going to be a little red tab. You're going to pull that off just like we did on the other camera. Plug this in. And then I'm going to want to see how much slack I want to take out. And ultimately, I'm just going to run it to about there. Hang it over the side here. And then I'm just going to put this piece back. Now this piece, the way that it goes back, are there's these little trails. Oops. That I have to guide this back into. You'll see when you take it off where exactly it needs to go. But you want to go kind of at an angle there. And that will slide back into place where you want it to go. And then I'm going to ultimately, I got to make sure that these kind of fall back into place. I'm going to do that here in a second. I did want to show you that this is, you can see tucked under here now. And then it's going to be coming out through this side here. And this is the slack that I'm going to get rid of last. But I'll be back in 1 second. I'm going to get this thing aligned because it does have to be aligned a lot perfectly. Then I'm going to snap it back in and put the screws back in. So I'll be back in just 1 second. Okay, so I've got this piece back in. Again, you got to kind of go at a little bit of an angle. You're going to see under there when you're messing with it, it has to go in a perfect angle. Once it's down, you're just going to kind of slide it up underneath the glass again. You're going to want to use your fingers and make sure that that seal got down in there correctly. And then ultimately at the end, you're going to snap this piece back in. You're going to snap this piece back in and it's going to lay perfectly flat just like we took it out. So we're literally all done there. I've got our 2 screws that we're going to put back in. I'll show you under here how I'm going to do that. That's it there. Like I said, these screws were really difficult to get out. They're difficult to go back in as well, but with the drill, they go right back in. So again, you can see up here. There we go, that's it. So that's it for that part of it. We're all done. The next move I'm gonna do is just get this back into the headliner, get rid of all the slack, put this piece back on, and we're gonna be all done. We're gonna install the front camera and then we'll get to the how to use it. So I'll see you in just 1 second. Okay, what I ended up doing with all that slack is actually just right down the side. There's a pretty big gap and opening in here, so I just tucked it all down in there. So I'll just move this thing out of the way. We're gonna snap these things back on. That's it. That's how easy that is. You can see you can't see any of the wires. Everything's clean, everything's good. And we're all done with that. So the next part that we're gonna do is right in here. If you wanna take a look. All we gotta do is plug this camera in. We're just gonna stick it on the glass real quick there. And plug it in right here on this side. And we'll be all good to go. So you can see right now that the camera's already working. So that's the view that you can see. I haven't messed with adjustments. I don't know if it adjusts up and down. I'll have to take a look. But what I really like about this camera is that I can see into the bed of the truck. With my other one, because it's behind, if I had stuff in the bed of my truck, I couldn't see it. And I couldn't really see too well trying to use a rear view mirror. And so I'm really excited about this, that if I do have anything in the bed of the truck, I can always keep an eye on it when I'm driving. So that's probably my favorite part, at least so far on this. So we'll go ahead and install this. Again, this is going to be an easy deal. And we've got the wire that's sticking out here. And so we're just going to have to end up plugging that in here. And then this is going to, we might need a little bit more slack. This is going to go just like this. So I'm just going to look to make sure I'm kind of centered here. And once I've done that, I'm going to take this tape off. And we're gonna stick it right there. And it's super sticky. And again, because this is all open up front, you can kind of move this wire wherever you want. But that's how easy that camera is. And that's it. I mean, that is the full install. I would say that that on this install, I don't know that I would describe it as a beginner install. It's definitely at least an intermediate install. With these directions, I hope it makes it easy for you. It is pretty cut and dry. Once I had to kind of figure out where everything went, it was pretty easy to do if you know your way around the Cybertruck and how their snaps work. So, so that'll be it for the install of it. I'll come back in just a second and show you what I've learned. I'm going to take some time and kind of figure out how the mirror actually works and the features of it. I'll come back in a second, give you a quick tutorial on that, and then I'll see you on the next videos. I do have a couple really cool videos coming up. I hope you subscribe. I hope you, if you're not subscribed already, that you subscribe now to check out all the different tips and tricks I've got and reviews on other products. And again, use my code. This again is from Tlyard. You're going to get a really big discount if you use my code. I'll leave it down in the description. Leave a like, and we'll see you here in just a second. Okay, so here we are on the camera. Let me go ahead and show you, or on the rear view mirror. Let me show you what it looks like. So picture quality is really, really nice. I have it in the highest settings, which gives it kind of the smallest view. But you can move your camera up and down to where you want it. So you can actually adjust it where you want it, which is really cool. When it is in not such a high definition, it's actually a lot bigger picture that you can move up and down, but this is what I really liked. So getting into this, there's a few things when I went to go start it. When I originally started this thing, if you look underneath here, there is a little micro SD card, and this came with it. It did need to be formatted. So what I did was I went into system setting, and I went into, well, first of all, I turned on the, actually, at first it would not let me do anything. It wouldn't let me go anywhere without formatting that card. So the very first thing that I had to do was format that card. I went to settings, I went to storage information, and then I hit, all these said zeros across here, and I hit format. When I hit format, it asked me, do you want to format the card? I hit okay. I'm not going to do it now because I've already done it. Once I did that, it formatted the card, and all of these numbers came up saying, hey, you've got storage capacity, and then it allowed me to continue to go through everything else. So the very first thing you need to do when you get this is to turn it on, go into that, format your card. Super easy, super quick. Other things that you can do that I've learned is through system settings is I turn the Wi-Fi on. The reason why you're going to want to have Wi-Fi on here is because there's an app that you can download on your phone. So you can look at any of the video, watch video, you can see it outside of your car and all that sort of stuff. Pretty cool. Probably not something that I'm going to use right away, but you can stream it. It is pretty cool if that's what you're into. Screen settings, all the different things, 30 seconds off. So I can have it to where after 30 seconds it turns off, or 3 minutes. I'm going to leave it on for now because I want to check it out. Voice, really this is just, you know, how the volume. So all your settings are all the way to 4 and then off. Audio recording, you can do on or off. I'm going to leave it on so it's recording everything that's going on, not only video, but also audio. Languages, really it's just the English at the bottom. If you choose the English up top, it is going to change it to not English. And then, so I'm going to change it back there. So once I've done that, you can hit the forward key, and then it takes you into date, time, and default settings. Default settings, obviously if you get lost or something's messed up, you can always default it and start it over, but I've already set these times in there. So once I'm done with that, you can go back to the beginning. That was the system settings. You can go into video settings. Video settings allows you to do, like I said, I put the 2K on here, and the HDR, which is the highest setting. If I go to lower than that, screen gets bigger, more controllability, but less clear. Even at the lowest setting, though, it was really, really clear. And then I set both of these at +1, and that's kind of the brightness that's on there. You can mess with that to figure out what you want that to be on. And then recording it intervals, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute. You go to the next screen, you can do a timestamp. I said, yes, I left that on frequency, 60. It recommends 60, I'm leaving it at 60. And then, so that's everything really. There's a firmware version. You can check to see if you have the latest firmware and that sort of stuff. This does. I didn't have to do anything there, so that was all good. The only thing that I will say about this, okay, actually, let's go back to here. So if I want to record everything that's going on, I can hit record. You can see up here, it's starting the recording, and it's going to save it. It's going to, you know, put everything that's on there. This button here, so I'm going to stop that real quick. What you can do is this button here allows you to go to the front. So that's my front camera. And then you can do split screen. So you got front camera on this side, rear camera on this side. I thought that was really, really cool. And then you can just go back. So you can have that wherever you want. I'm going to probably leave mine as a rear view mirror all the time. If you hit this button, that'll take a photo. If you hit lock, it'll lock it. You can't do anything, so you can't really mess it up. And then you can also put it to sleep. If I hit put it to sleep, it just really turns it off. And you can actually use it as a rear view mirror. It is reflective, and you can use it as a rear view mirror. The on button is on the bottom. If you look underneath here, you can see there's just this little button, and that turns it on. So that'll get it out of sleep mode, or that'll actually turn it on when you first get it. So that's everything on there. Super cool. Super cool device. I like this a lot better than the last one that I had. It's super secure. Underneath, like I said before, it's all nice and clean. On my last install, there was wires and everything back there. There is no wires to be seen. And then if you want to jump out of the vehicle real quick, I'll show you what I really like about the camera. I'll show you here. So out here with the camera mounted there, it's super clean. Literally, that's the only wire you see on the install is just a tiny, tiny little bit. But again, it's at the back of the car. My last one I actually still have in place. You can see it, it's down there. That literally did me no good. It was always dirty. It was always, you know, just not where I wanted. I couldn't see anything in the bed of the truck. But now with that up there, I'll be able to see everything in the bed and obviously everything behind. So anyway, I really hope you like this video, and again, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.